What's up, everybody? It's Ace from Ace Corner Talk. Peace. Hope everybody's well. Feel pretty good. Just want to drop some jewels on you today. Want to send a special shout out to Wifey Queen C. Special shout out to most of my family watching live. Shout out to all my uh, all my peeps out there. I'm gonna give a shout out to all of my Baltimoreans and all of those who are doing their thing, man. Give a shout out to all of my YouTube comrades. Peace to main man Logic. If you have not subscribed to Logic, Food, Clothing, and Shelter, please subscribe to Logic's channel. Good brother doing some good things. Haven't been on this channel in a while, Ace Corner Talk, so we about to drop some jewels. I don't want to start off in a groggy mode. Just feel like I'm getting a sore throat. So we're about to go in real quick and just talk about a few things. Glad that everybody's home and alive. Praying for the people out there in Texas and Florida. Sending special prayers for those individuals, the people that are in the mix of this tragedy. If y'all give me 1 second, bear with me. I'm trying to get this chat up real quick. Peace. So I gotta find out who's in the chat. All right, cool. So peace to everyone. Peace, peace, peace. Peace and love. Hope that y'all well. Hope that everything is going smoothly for you in your lives. Man, this thing changed so much. Oh, well. Okay. It's changed up a little bit for me. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about, beware of the false witnesses around you. I'm going to read a scripture or two, not going to hit you with no hard biblical stuff. I'm just going to give you some basic principles that I believe in and what I think should be strong for any character or any individual that you deal with. I'm going to give you some things that you need to think about. Hopefully, what we share, what we build on, what the chat feasts on, we can come out of this this broadcast with something positive to think about. So, peace to all of my family out there, all of those who subscribe to Ace Corner Talk. One love to you. Peace for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for support. And we about to go in. What else? I want to say my mom had a little minor surgery. I want to say get well, Mom. Love you. My little bro, he had a baby boy, 6 pounds. Much love, little bro. Proud of you, man. You really became, quite the man that you are today. I'm proud of you for doing what you're doing. Continue to do what you do. I know you've told me on many of occasions I've been a strong role model for you, and I appreciate that. It goes a long ways. You know how your big bro do. So I love you, man. Continue to rock and build and support your family. And I feel pretty good, man. So now I have another nephew. You feel me? That's gonna be running around. So, all right, cool. So let's get it. I want to talk about this. It's something that's on my mind. All right. I don't expect anybody to have a Bible right on them so they can just grab it and look and follow along. And I appreciate y'all chatting. But all I'm going to do is just get into the scripture real quick. And we about to expound on some quick things. Not going to be long because I got another broadcast we're going to bounce on. And we're going to go in deep tonight. All right? It's what we doing. So, I'm coming from Proverbs chapter 10. I'm going to be at verse 18. Check this out. Verse 18 says, he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. All right? Try to catch that. He that hideth hatred with his lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. I want you to remember that. Remember that for me. I'm going to go to Proverbs 19. Proverbs 19 and 9. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. Try to remember these scriptures. You know what I mean? Proverbs 19 and 9. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. All right? The meter where I really want to go to is going to come from Matthews 26 and 59. Appreciate all y'all looking in. Thank you. If you want to chat, come on, get in the chat room. This ain't going to be something where y'all can be involved in, because we're just going to be talking about some things, and I know some of y'all might have some input. So give some input. All right, let's dialogue. All right, so I'm in Matthews chapter 26 and 59. And this ain't even got to be something that you real biblical expound on or might not have a lot of biblical knowledge. It's not about that. This is general day-to-day basic knowledge, day-to-day basic principles that anybody can have. So I'm not spitting Bible verses, expecting nobody to know what these Bible verses mean or whatever the case is. They're self-explanatory. So we could chat about it. I can see who's in the chat. We can go in on it like that. All right. So we on 59. Now the chief priests and elders and all the councils saw false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the least came 2 false witnesses. All right, I want y'all to pay attention to the scriptures. It's very endowed with some meat that I found interesting. And said to the fellow, hold on, and found them in false witness. Verse 61, and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temples of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witnesses against thee? But Jesus held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure you, thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said unto him, thou hast said it. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitteth on the right hand of power and coming into the clouds of the heavens. Then the high priest rent his clothes, got mad, ran his clothes, saying, you have spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? So basically what he was saying was, what need are we to have witnesses? You spoke blasphemy. So saying Jesus was speaking blasphemy because he was saying, look, I'm the Son of God. I'm one day going to be sitting on the right-hand side of God. I'm Jesus. You either believe that, take it for face value, or you just deal with it. So he got mad, started ranting his clothes, and so forth. What think ye? They answered and said, is he guilty of death? They did, and then they spit in his face and buffeted him. So at this point, breaking it down, at this point, they was mad at Jesus. They spit in his face. I want to stop here. I'm going to go a little further, but I want to stop here. The reason why I was thinking about this title and thinking about what it means to have people around you that bear false witness, because I want you to understand that you might have people that bear false witness, meaning they're lying about a particular situation, although they might lie about the particular situation, whether you might say you're not in agreement or not, the mere fact that you're there in witness and you're not disagreeing, meaning you're not verbally speaking out against the lie, that means you're just as much as part of the lie and as of saying the lie yourself. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think that just because they don't say a lie out of their mouth, but hear a lie, but not challenge the lie, they think that they have no parts in it. Well, it's just him lying, but that's my boy. But you got to realize that you're held accountable for the same lie that the other individual lied about. Just like in the court of law, I'll tie the court of law in there. If you go before the judge and he says that you was with this person, what's up, Doug? And he says that you was with this person, but you did not know that he was going to rob the store or steal something. You committed that act. He committed the act, but you say you didn't know nothing or you wasn't a part of the act. Do you think that you're not going to get any punishment because you was with him? I think that there would be a punishment that would be handed out to you because you was with the individual. I don't think that the court of law will allow you to escape the mere fact that you was with the individual while everything was taking place. Hey, Thankful Sunday, I just wanted to say to you, since I see you in the chat, I appreciate you. Thank you for doing what you did. You showed some love. And with that respect, I big you up, sister. God bless you. You really did some things in the chat. When I was reading some things, some comments, you was not an individual that was so more or less going with the narrative that was being painted. So I appreciate you. Thank you for that. But as I was saying, when you bear false witness, when you talk about individuals and you talk about people and you bear false witness, you lie about a particular situation. Now, me being a spiritual man, I gotta separate the lie and the intent of the lie. See, some people got to do this. You have to, let me tell you something. Beware of people that you can't look into their eyes. See, I see a lot of people hide themselves. See, the key to the soul is through the eyes. If you can't look a person in the eyes, you can tell if a person lying or not because they won't show you their eyes. They'll turn away. That's clear signs of people lying. They'll look this way, they'll look that way. They cannot look you directly in the eyes because they lie. A real liar will not be able to stand under that pressure. He'll turn away, look down, do all kind of stuff. When a police interrogates a person, in order to break him, he gets in his face, he'll talk to him, say things, agitate him. He'll do those things to get him to admit to the truth. So what the person that's lying or the person that's being interrogated do if he's lying, he'll look away, fidget a lot, do all of this stuff. It's because he's lying. Now, when a person comes under, no doubt, I appreciate that. TY, you don't gossip, no doubt. Peace to the chat. So when a person indulges in lies, when they indulge in gossip, when they indulge in things that can hinder the spirit, hinder your man, hinder your thoughts, one thing that comes to mind, like I said earlier, I separate lies from the intent of the lie. So that way I could diagnose what was the intent of somebody lying or saying what they was doing. It's not really the lie that hurts, but it is the intentions behind the lie that really gets to a person. So, as I went through the scriptures and I read things about, people bearing false witness, that is revered very seriously in God's eyes when a person outright just lies, because that is one of the commandments. Don't bear false witness is one of the commandments. And when a person does that, not only do they put themselves in jeopardy, they put their faith and they put their soul in jeopardy, because once you begin to become a repeated or a competitive lie, or a person that do repetitious lying, and if that's that spirit in you, you put yourself in jeopardy, because no longer are you in a position to receive any truth. That means you reject everything. You reject God. You reject normality. You reject everything that could possibly help you stay afloat in this life. You reject it all, because now you have become a repeated liar or a repeated offender. And it's funny to me, the mere times that people ever tried to strike against me and other people that I've seen was because of jealousy, because of envy, because of hate, because it's something in you they know they can't be. So what they try to do, they try to lie about it in order to please their heart and their feelings from where they're not. So when a lie comes about, it's designed to cause damage. That is the intent of any lie. Anybody telling a lie, it's designed to cause some particular type of damage. But what happens when the lie does not cause damage? It only leaves room for a person to start repeating another lie. Because if it doesn't cause damage, or if it doesn't do what it was set out to do, of course you got to go back to continue until it accomplishes what you feel it's supposed to accomplish. But the funny thing about it is, what people fail to realize, when you know what it's coming from, when you know what is sending the lie, I want to teach y'all something. And this is just a real quick teaching moment. All right? This is something I've learned. And this is not just my self-experience. I was taught this and I was learned this. When you're dealing with an individual, when you're dealing with somebody, you got to look beyond the surface. Some preachers that are anointed, that I've seen in the past, seen give the word of God. There's different types of preachers. You see them all over the place. So many different types. But when you really came or come into the presence of somebody who has the real anointed, unadulterated anointing of God, they're trained to speak to the spirit that is behind the person, not the person. Okay? It might appear that they're speaking to the person, because on the outside, without a trained eye or without being taught to know that they're talking to the spirit, you'll think that, oh, he's talking to that man that way. No, he's talking to the spirit behind the man. Because in order to break a stronghold or break something that's over a person, you have to talk to the spirit, not the man. That's why anytime Jesus spoke, he had to speak to the spirit. When Jesus spoke to Lazarus, he said, Lazarus, come forth. Why didn't he had to specifically say the name? Because if he would have just said anything, it would have summoned many spirits to come forth. But he had to summon one particular spirit on one particular individual. So when you're dealing with things like this, you got to know what you're up against. You got to know what you're fighting up against. You're not fighting up against the flesh of the person. Let's get out of that. Let's get out of the mindset that we're dealing with the flesh of the individual, because we're not. We're dealing with the spirit that drives the individual to do what they do. We stand back and we say, why does that person do this? Or why did that person do that? It's the spirit behind them, not the individual. Once the spirit is broke, then all of a sudden they come back to normal reality. Then they'll see, wow, why did I do that? And sometimes they might not even know they did the action because it's a spirit taking control. Now, I've been through a series of sessions of events in this last couple of weeks in my life. Not even associating that with Facebook. Just been through some events, been through some things. And anytime you see things arrive in your life in series, let me talk to you guys. All right. I'm talking about anytime you see things happen in a series in your life. This happens. All of a sudden, this happens. All of a sudden, that happens. I mean, just one thing after another. See, you got to realize that, one, God is getting ready to do something in your life. There's a move or a shift about to happen. You got to know that. See, God is about to do something. So, peace to all of y'all. So what happens is the enemy has to do things to throw you off of what you're doing. He has to throw you off your faith, because when God gets ready to set you up, it's always the storm. It's always the storm that comes before the quiet. It's like the opposite. You understand? Before you can get, with a storm, it's calm first, then the storm comes. All right? When the storm comes, you know how it gets warm in the air and things start to change in atmosphere. Then the storm comes. With God, it comes first, then the calmness. It's the opposite. So that means when you know in your life that this is not normal for all of these things to happen at once, then that means something is about to happen in your life. Then after that comes the series of the calmness. Then you come out of that calmness. Doesn't mean you just take your oh God, I'm glad this pressure's off of me. No, it doesn't happen like that. You still got to be aware. You still got to be focused. You still got to be on your job. But it's the storm that comes first when you're in Christ. The storm that comes first, then comes the calmness. So I went through some series of things. Some I might share, some I might not. Just series of things. I went through this with the accident and some stuff on the job. There's some stuff on YouTube, just crazy stuff that really, I'm going to tell you something. I've never been so calm in my life. And I think that's why the intensity of it coming the way it did, like the intensity, just everything from this to this was real intensified. But I think the reason that I've been so calm in it because I understand that I've been in this place before. So I know when the enemy begins to act up the way he does, it does not worry me or shake me, and it does not allow my foundation to be moved, because I understand these things are going to come. Anytime God wants to either get your attention, even wants to move you to another place, another position, these things got to come, because the enemy wants to throw your faith off in what you believe. Now, whether you'll believe or not, you might not believe this. You might not take what I'm saying. That's fine. There's no debate about that. But I'm just talking from my perspective as a believer. And if I'm talking to a believer out there, then that's cool. You understand where I'm coming from. But what I am saying is you go through those series and sessions of things, and you finally realize that, you know what, there's something in why I'm continuously gaining these type of trials, or these type of things are coming in my life. There's some reason why. What is it? Some people might ask God, why are these things happening? But I tell you that I know for a fact, if you're going through this right now, I might even be speaking to you, might not. But if you're going through this where you're having these type of situations where one thing after another, just bam, 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 and you feel like that you cannot get out of that circle where just for a while now, it's just been one thing after another. That's a for sure sign that God is trying to get your attention to move you forward. Take it for face value, take it and throw away, put it in the trash, whatever you want to do with what I just said. I'm giving you something that not only have I experienced, but what I know to be concrete, factual evidence. Now, with that being said, I was talking about people bearing false witness, being around people that bear false witness. Now, people don't understand the detriment of lies and when you begin to spew lies and say things. Because the Bible always say what you do and what you say, you'll get double measure back to you. So when you're bearing false witness and lying about things, you get that back double. Don't think that what you said out of your mouth, if it's not the truth, don't think you will not get double or will not get the consequences out of that lie. Oh, it's coming. Believe me, the consequences from a lying tongue, you will get that. Don't think in the afterlife or wherever you gonna go, don't think you're gonna be waiting on it that time for it to hit you. You're gonna get that right here and right now. You're gonna feel that. Trust me. You're gonna reap that what you just sowed. Okay? You're gonna reap it. So it's not the place for us to sit, and I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself right now. It's not the place for me to sit back and fight these battles anymore. Because I tell you something, when you begin to indulge in things that you know coming from the enemy, sometimes you got to step back. You got to let God take control of certain things. Because when he does, he the one that does it right. When he corrects a situation, when he comes against something, I'm going to tell you, when he put his stamp of approval, when he put his hand down on it, believe me, it's over. It's over. And a lot of people do things and don't realize who they up against and what they up against. And I'm only saying this. Sometimes you got to be very careful about when you talk and put your mouth on people. I'm just going to say that right there. Because you don't know whose soul is anchored in Christ. You don't know that. I don't know that. Got to be very careful who you put your mouth on. Because the very time you put your mouth on somebody that is in a certain place in Christ, not that he favors people, but whatever the journey or whatever the mission that he has that individual on, depending on what his ultimate fate and goal in life is and what he's supposed to produce, if you damage that in any way, now that's when you become in the mix between what God is trying to do and what you're trying to prevent. You got to understand this. You got to understand it. When you come in the mix of what God is trying to do in somebody's life, when you intervene in a person's life, I don't care if you try to deny it, if you try to tell yourself, well, I didn't know. He knows your heart. He knows your intent. He knows what you do, and he knows why you do it. You can't escape that. You are not going to escape that. You ain't going to be able to say, oh, I didn't know. Why did I say no? You ain't going to be able to backtrack that. When you do something against an individual that God is already predestined to do a work for him, and you intervene in that, believe me, there is strict consequences for that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you if you are any God-fearing Bible person, whatever you want to call yourself, any inkling of Christ, take that one to the bank. Take it to the bank. Because there's scriptures that talk about if you harm or do any harm to the least of my little ones, you are better to tie a millstone around your neck and jump in the lake. Meaning, you come against God's anointed or God's children or somebody that God is grooming for greatness or grooming to do a work, and you intervene in that, you're going to get the steepest consequences for that. And I'm not saying that to scare anyone. I'm not saying that, but I'm letting you know factual information via the Bible, via experience. I'm just saying. But anyway, and there's two sides to it. It's two sides to it, though. Now, the person that entertains it just it's saying it like this. If you hear God saying don't do it and you do it, then you just put yourself in jeopardy with God. Meaning, and I'm not saying jeopardy in a negative way, I'm saying jeopardy as far as now God is going to be angry because when he was telling you not to do it, you did it anyway. You see what I'm saying? Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to all of y'all. Yes. Now, I have a lengthy background. You know, I have a background in the streets and I have a background in church. Right. Most of the people that are on my page are people from my church, family members. So I would say, give or take, maybe 80 of the subscribers that might be subscribed to Ace Corner Talk are church members and people that, you know me from church and all that good stuff. Know my character. Know me for years. It's people on my page that know me for over 16 years. Family members and all this good stuff. Now, I have respect for my fellow brothers, my fellow sisters. I have been in the shoes that a lot of men have not even dreamed of being in. Because I think at one particular time, God favored me to experience some things that a lot of men have not experienced, as far as being in positions, high positions in church and things like that. I've experienced that I experienced that via church. And I'm just sharing some of my experiences with church. Now, when I was in my 20s, in my early 30s, I was, elder, and I went from the deacon to elder, then from elder to pastoralship. I experienced what it was to be a deacon, serve, drive the church bus, be the first one in the door after coming from work and all that. I experienced that, went through that, did the things that a deacon was supposed to do. From that point, I moved up into eldership. And it was quite a while in between before I moved up. And I think that at the time when I moved up, I felt the transition in that move, because there was things that I was thinking that I could have never thought before. Like, I'm here to tell you, my thoughts was well beyond where I knew I was. I'm going to tell you, when I first came to church, I was into the game. I was into the dope game, selling drugs, all that stuff. And the Spirit of God took that away from me. Took drugs, took smoking weed, drinking, took it away. Because I was the type of person, and at the time, things I was doing, it was like, that was my life. But when he took it away, he had to take it all away. And when he did that, I found it easy to start getting along without those things. It was like, I know I don't need it. It's a difference in saying I don't need it, but that extra thing that keeps you from it. See, I was the type, like, I would say I didn't need it, but then I'll be smoking weed, I'll be drinking. Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. I had a little something here, whatever. Black and mild, drink, whatever. So it wasn't the fact that when I said I didn't want it and didn't need to drink and smoke and all that stuff, it was the extra power God gave me on the inside to say, it just doesn't bother me. I just don't need it no more. And I'm not attracted to the smoke. I'm not attracted to the drinking. That just doesn't appeal to me. So he took that out of me. He took all that out of me. But when I got in the church and started to evolving into my higher levels in church, I experienced more of the negative than I did the positive, because I was the type of person that I felt like I shouldn't be here. You know, I said, well, man, why am I in this position? Why is God allowing me to be in this position when I was a dope boy, when I was selling poison to people, when I was busting guns? Why should me? Why me? Should I be in this position? Why did God pick me out to be in that position? And a lot of times I used to think to myself, okay, now that I'm in this position, am I going to meet the standards that God wants me to meet? Am I going to match up to what he wants me to be? See, all of these things played a role every day in my mind. Like, am I going to be that preacher that he want me to be? Am I going to be that elder he want me to be? All that always came up in my mind, right? My family, taking care of them, taking care of my boys, and how am I going to meet the standards that God will want me to meet? So as I sojourned and I began to climb the ladder in the church, getting the notoriety from different bishops and pastors and things like that, I began to get more humble, because as I started to move up, I realized I was depending on God even more. You understand? It was like I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was depending on him, because when I got up to preach, it was such a nervousness that came over me. It was like he then took over. See, nervousness is good in a sense, but I was always the type that I wasn't shy, but I was like to myself, and like I really didn't deal with a lot of stuff like. But when I got up there, I knew when his presence took over. I knew it. And it's crazy for somebody like me that's so dope, that did things like that. That wasn't never a thought that I would be in that position. Never. That's why I never second guess when God does something. I never second guess, because if he could take me, that little dope boy, if he could take me out them streets, a bad boy, if he could take me out the streets, I know he can do that for the lowest of the lowest. I know it. Because when I was out there busting that gun, smoking weed, drinking, acting crazy, getting locked up, I know God, when he came and he rescued me from that, I know it was him, because I wasn't coming out of that no other way. I'm telling you, it was no other way I was coming out of that. He had to get me out of that. See, God has to do that to certain people. Certain people, God don't have to do a whole lot. They'll come and and then, you know, they'll have their introduction. But with me, I was a hard-headed, stubborn, a strong-willed individual. So God had to do a certain thing in order to wake me up. I wasn't coming out of them streets just no any way. He had to personally come and get me out of them streets. That's all I'm saying. But as I begin to climb that ladder, let me get to this real quick, and I'm gonna move on. As I climbed that ladder into what brought me into like a higher plane. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll be crazy to sit here and tell you that I didn't feel some kind of way when I got up and I was speaking before people. Yeah, it felt good. But then at the end of the day, I was too scared to take the credit for it, because I understood that I knew God was ushering me and was in me, speaking through me. I knew this. So I was too scared to even take any credit. It was like I couldn't do it, because I had so much reverence, because I know where I came from. See, that's the difference between me and other people. When you know where God brought you out of and know where you came from, see, can't nobody take that from you. That's why nobody can persuade me about God, religion. They can dispute the Bible. They can talk about what might be real and what's not real. There's no need for me to even get into that conversation. Even if I did, it's no need to indulge deep into it, because I already know for a 100% facts, when God used me and spoke through me, it was not of myself. I couldn't do it. But when he did, I couldn't take credit for it because I knew it was him. Yes, I was trained how to be able to handle a service, but was not trained how to actually preach. I had a bishop that was over me that didn't believe in telling you how to preach. He believed that if you got the gift, you get on up there and do what you got to do. That's what he believed. He didn't sit down and train you and show you, say this, say that. He wasn't that kind of man of God. However you did it, he said, if you got the gift, you say God called you, you go up there and you do what you got to do. And that's just how he was. But I remember when I was put in the fire and I had to get up and preach, of course, knees knocking, scared, and I didn't know what to do and how and all that. And the very first time when I spoke, I looked at the faces of the people and they was stone cold, like not receiving this brother. But then as I began to get nervous and begin to like, come on, I need some help, God. Like, you know, what am I doing here? It was like when I looked down to begin to oratate what I thought should be said, he spoke. Now, I am going to tell you this. I remember times when I wasn't prepared. I remember times when when the bishop would come to me, he would say, you gotta preach today. And I didn't have no messages, no nothing. I had to get like a 5-minute message, try to prepare for something. And I would get up and I would know when the presence of God was not with me. I would know that. I would get up there and I can feel the difference. I could feel the total difference. I knew when God's presence wasn't with me. If I went up there and I rushed and did something, I felt it. When I tried to oratate, I tried to, and no matter what I wrote down or no matter what I was trying to, it just would not come together. I knew it because I didn't pray about it. I might not have fasted about it. I might not have sat down enough. I knew when God's presence wasn't with me. But when I prayed, when I fasted, when I asked him to give me messages, he came right on time every single time. And when I get up there to pray, when I get up there to do something, the anointing with me, my hands always felt like it was burning. I don't know what that was, but every time when I was praying and asking God to help me through this mess, my hands would begin to burn. That was my way of knowing that his presence was there. I felt that. I would stand there before that podium and I would begin to, in my mind, God, you know, talk whatever I taught to, and then I would feel that on my hands, like as if my hands was on fire. And bam, I would go in. All I'm saying, these things are for sure signs that I know without a shadow of a doubt that God was working with me in my life. I will never lose that experience. I will never lose the first introduction. I will never lose the feeling. I will never lose that. I will never. Because of where I came from out of them streets, man, and how I was, I will never lose that. That was the most specialist, most eye-opening time in my life. I will never in my life forget it nor lose it. Because that was the introduction from God to me. He showed me out of all of the things that I was experiencing with different religions and people coming at me, trying to convert me at Muslims and this and that. This is right. This is wrong. Da, da, da. And I had the bishop sat down with me one day. And he said, son, let me tell you something. This is how he used to talk. He's, you know, from the streets and stuff. Son, let me tell you something. He said, don't debate the word of God. He said, because the devil could debate the word. He said, but he can't debate your testimony. And I never forgot that. I always took that. And I always ride with that. He can debate the word, but he can't debate your testimony of what you know for a concrete fact, what God did for you. And don't never let nobody take that from you. See, the devil tries to take your testimony. What God did, how he did it, they'll try to take it from you. Don't let nobody take that. If that's all you got to stand on that. What you know, what God did for you. Now, if you never had these experiences, if you never had God in your life, if these experiences you never had, then I don't know how you can identify with what I'm saying. But if you have, let me explain to you, never let that experience go. Your testimony is all you got in God. And that's what you keep. That's all you have. That's the leg you got to stand on. And if you let the enemy come and take that from you, you're basically giving your will over to him. Let me explain. When you allow the enemy to steal your testimony from you, what you believe God did, your testimony is things that you give credit to God for doing. This is the credit that I'm going to give God for bringing me out of this, whatever it may be. When you let somebody take that from you, that's a for sure sign somewhere the will is being worked on. Your will to live, your will to fight. That I'm saying that's outside of what you know about God or believe about God is the will. All right? What you believe in, all of that good stuff, that really doesn't tie in until the part of where you become awakened when you understand who God is to you. But that's why God doesn't fight with your will. It's either you do it or you don't. With him, he doesn't fight with your will. He gives man a free will to do whatever he wants to do, whether you come to him or whether you don't. That's his thing. He just doesn't force your will. So it's a for sure sign that your will is being worked on when your testimony is when somebody's trying to steal your testimony from you. That means deep down on the inside, the enemy has been working overtime to get you to give up. That's what the will is. Once a person gives up their will to live, they die. When you give up your will to fight, you're very close to it's done. If you're on your deathbed and you give up the will to fight, it's done. It's over. You got to fight. You fight. You keep your will. You fight. In the mere time that your testimony is trying to be taken from you, somebody's trying to steal it from you, that's a working on the will. And I come to tell you, don't let nobody lie, steal your will, take your will to fight. It belongs to you. You know what God did for you. You know what God brought you to. If you're a good person, good, clean woman, good, clean man of God, you stand on your square, your principles, and you fight for the will, fight for your testimony. Don't let nobody steal your testimony because that's all you got in God. People are trying to steal it from you. They'll try to take it. And then when they finish with you, they'll go on to the next person and do the same to them. You can't let people destroy your testimony or take it from you. That's all you got. That's your evidence of what God is to you and what he done for you. That ain't for nobody else. Your testimony is the for sure sign of what God did for you. And when you tell other people your testimony, that is giving somebody else hope that they can be brought out, or they can be helped through something, or God can do the same for them. That's what that means. And I tell you this, no matter what has been said against me, no matter what has been done against me, I refuse to let anybody, knowing the life I've lived, knowing where I'm at today, I will never let anybody take my testimony from me because that's all I have. Now, if you were telling me that I was in the streets, I was a gangbanger, and I was doing all of this, that's not a testimony. That's not nothing to brag about. That's not a testimony. But when you say God brought you out those streets, covered you while you was in the streets when you was in your ignorance and didn't know, that's your testimony. Now you're giving God the credit, saying that there was something that you didn't have the ability to do, that you know outside yourself that somebody else did for you, which would happen for me to be God. I can't give that credit to nobody. I know for a fact that God took me out the streets. I know that. So my testimony means a lot to me. Now, when I understand when I'm in the mix of a warfare, let me tell you something. Right there in the corner in my office right here, it's pretty junky. Got a lot of books and a lot of stuff. I got over 100 books sitting right over there that speaks and talks about all different kind of spiritual things. I got the laws, books of the Bible. I got big concordance. I got all kind of stuff over there, right? This is years of stuff that I accumulated. Like that, right? I got several books about warfare. I remember when I began to get, it seems like my interest was getting sparked about warfare for some reason. That's all I wanted to know about. All I wanted to read about. All I wanted to be involved in was spiritual warfare. And let me tell you something. The more I began to get deeper into it and started to learn different little things about spiritual warfare, it felt like hell on earth. Because those were the most horrible times of my life when I started to experience real spiritual warfare. You understand me? Boy, I begin to learn the inner workings of Satan. Let me tell you, people, this is some real stuff. I begin to learn the interworkings of Satan. And as a pastor, I was using that to my advantage to strike against him. So that meant every time I striked, he striked. Every time I did something that I felt was going to be effective, he came right back. Never failed. That's because I was indulging in spiritual warfare, learning the tactics of the enemy, learning how he operates. When you deal with spiritual content and when you deal with spiritual things, you got to understand that spiritual warfare 9 times out of 10 is definitely going to be involved in it. It's definitely 100% going to be involved when you deal with your spiritual day-to-day life, spiritual warfare. Because the Bible talks about we being counted as sheep for the slaughter. The devil is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. The Bible goes through and through about experiences and about things that are going to come as a believer, whether you want to or not. Some things are not a shock to me. When people come at me, when I experience things that I know come from the enemy, I know this has to come. So I'm not really shocked about it. That's why I'm always in the mode to fight it back, because I've always been in that vein. When I'm in the mode fighting back because I feel like it's an attack, I know it's an attack because I've already experienced this on the levels and on those particular parts of my journey. So I know when somebody's striking against me and it's a spirit coming at me, I know it without a shadow of a doubt. I feel it. I know it. So yeah, some of the things in a way I might do it now might be a little bit different than I did it then, because when I did it then, I knew that God was using my experience to help somebody that I might have been preaching to on the outside. As of now, that I'm not in the pastoralship mode, and I'm not pastoring over a church or being under a bishop pastoring, I understand that now the challenges that I'm faced with are speaking directly to me now. Now that I'm not speaking before 200 or 100 or 50 or 25 people or however many people, now that I'm not, it's speaking to me. Because when the enemy feels like he has the upper hand, one thing he continues to do is he operates in the different parts of your life. So you may got, something goes wrong in your household, and you think that that's going to be the end of it. Then something happens in your job, and you say, wow, man, the job too. And then something happens with you and your friends, and then something happens with you and your family. It's because he has to try each and every single part of your life in order to break you. You ain't gonna break if you just hit something with your family. You'll brush it off and say, hey, it's my family, I don't care. Hey, let them go about their business. But if he can continue to hit different parts of your life, now it's to force your hand now. You get to panicking now, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? You'll act or do things out of turn, and you'll begin to do things that you wouldn't normally do. You'll just start doing things sporadically, because he's trying to cause you to move out of turn or operate before time. Check it out. I'm gonna tell you that I'm right on the money with what I'm saying. I could back it up scripturally. When it said right here when they came to Jesus, and it says right here, let me read this real quick, and it validates what I just said. Verse 62, Matthew 26, verse 62. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which thee witnesses against thee? And but Jesus, verse 63, but Jesus held his peace. Verse 63 in Matthew 26. But Jesus held his peace, meaning there was a calmness, meaning what they was trying to do did not affect him. Do you understand me? Meaning what they tried to do, what they tried to say in the accusations they brought against Jesus, it did not affect him. It didn't cause him to move. It didn't cause him to start saying, oh, I'm going to strike you down. I'm going to kill you. He didn't do all. No. Jesus didn't even take that approach. He just kept quiet. Meaning, or symbolizing that everything you saying is not going to work because I know who I am. Then, when he felt like speaking, he did. Then he began to tell them who he was and where he was going to be at a particular time. So all I'm saying is the experiences I experienced, the experience that I experienced on this week, I had more of a calmness, even though some things, see, I've always been expressive, you know, may it be because, you know, I got a little bit of everything in me, but, you know, I think I'm black, I got Italian in me, I got Irish in me, all kind of stuff, but maybe I'm more expressive because of certain parts of me. Maybe so. Maybe I use my hands a lot. That's a French thing. I use my hands. I don't know why I use my hands a lot. I just use my hands. I speak with my hands. So it might appear that I'm mad because I use my hands a lot. But mentally, I'm very calm. I only sound or may give the appearance that I'm mad because I'm a pastor at one point and I was a preacher. So when I get into that mode, I'm there. So you only see the evidence of what I used to be as a pastor. That's how, you know, when I got into that mode, there you go, bam. You know, I'm speaking and I'm expressive when I'm articulating the word of God. So now that, you know, I might do my everyday thing, or I might get offended at something and try to combat it. You'll see that side of me come out because I'm already right back in that mode again to defend. That's that spiritual warfare in me. I'm defending now. But I'm not mad. It takes a lot to get me mad. A whole lot. A lot of stuff don't get me mad because I already know where it is and where it comes from. See, frustration will cause you to do things that you don't normally do. So what I tried to do is keep myself from being frustrated, but I just combat things. See, it takes practice to do that. You just can't learn that overnight. Because the average person is going to blow up, curse you out, get mad, is because they have not learned how to control that part of them on the inside that stops them from getting frustrated. Just because you speak on something, just because you sound loud, just because you are expressive, don't mean that you're upset and mad. It just means that you're trying to articulate or trying to get over what you're saying with what you know that you have in you to use. How do you think a blind person gets over to a person that he wants something if he can't see? How do you think a person articulates something if they can't talk? They use sign language. I mean, it's different ways you articulate what you're trying to say. And I think my point of view is when I go at something, it might seem I'm mad, but I'm not. Believe me, I'm welcome in it. I'm welcome in here. The only time you'll know I'm mad is unless I slap you upside your head or go at you. That's when you really know I'm mad. Outside of that, it takes a lot to get me mad. It takes a lot to get me to that point. I might say things that might be slick or might convey things or put things together that might be on the sly side, but does not mean I'm mad. just means I'm using my mind craftily to get to you. It's a very, very tricky thing. But when I stand here today, I was sitting back thinking, had a long conversation with doctor friend of mine. She's, in her age, well in her age. Had a long conversation, and it sort of opened my eyes to some things that I knew but forgot. It's that thing where you know something, but you don't utilize it quite often as you should, so you kind of forget it. I think it was one of those things. But when it came back to my remembrance about what she was saying, it was like, oh yeah, I was there. I remember what I did at that particular time to move past what I was going through. And I think that now there's a lot of people that have to go back and remember what they did to get past a particular time in their life that felt like it was the extreme part of their life. And for me and my family, we are moving with much grace in God. We're moving with much conviction in God. I know for a fact that there's favor on my life. I don't need to brag about that. I love God. I love the Spirit of the Lord. I love Jesus Christ. And I believe that the favor of God has been on my life, because there's things that I've experienced that I know it had to be God. I just don't know what else to say. It had to be God. So that lets me know that there's favor somewhere in my life. I ain't perfect. Don't mean God ain't going to still with me and still put me in the fire when he needs to. I just know that there's certain things that just won't happen at this particular time. I just believe that because of the experiences I've had. So do believe me. I pride myself on being real and being a real man of God and speaking the truth. That's one thing I pride myself on. I told myself that when my firstborn was born, or my son was born, I was never going to be the type of father that, I'm not going to say that I had, I'm going to say the type of father that I witnessed. I didn't want to be the type of fathers that I have witnessed, or the type of father that I have witnessed in the fathers that was around me. I wasn't going to be like that. I made it in my mind and told myself I was going to be there for my boys, hell, high water. I was going to be there. I told myself that no matter what happens, I got to be there for my kids, because I did not want them to not have a consistent father in their life like I did not have. Okay? So that's one thing I prided myself on. Second thing, I prided myself on being married. I prided myself on having the house and the picket fence. I prided myself on being an honest individual. Being cool with people, making sure they knew that I was the person that, if they needed to go to war, I'll be right there going to war. That's how I was. Like, and if you're going to war, I'm right there. I'm not that person to go to war with you. Let's do it. I always was that individual. But in times, I used to get the blunt end of the deal, because when it was time to go to war, it felt like I was going to war by myself when I was the one in the war with somebody else. That's what it felt like. So now God had to train me not to be like that. You understand what I'm saying? Only because of me or my nature or who I am, that I always been like that, being the type of person to be that 100% friend. Now, I have some friends in my life, and they cool. We've been friends, never had arguments, none of that stuff. Cool as a fan. And I know that if there's something that went down, they'll have my back. I know that. But then when it comes to people that their motives are questionable, then immediately I'll sit back and I'll go through the same thing or the same experiences that I had, and I try to match it up to see that if any particular time are the behaviors and characteristics or things that I was involved in can be apparent in the situation I'm dealing with. That's what I tend to do now. Because when you go to battle, you either in it or you out. It ain't no, but then I don't feel like it. I want to be in it and then go to sleep. No, when you're in a battle, you're in a battle. It ain't no, you either throwing up the white flag or you going down like you going down. That's just what it is. It ain't no, I want to be in this battle today and then I'm bowing out tomorrow. I don't think it works like that. If you're in a battle, you got to see it out. You got to be in there and you got to bang in that battle until it's over. That's just what it is. You might try to engage in a battle and fight and then feel like you want to give up, but the battle does not cease because the winner does not quit. A winner continues to move on when it's in that type of a heated battle. So beware of false witnesses around you. Beware of people that are around you that bear false witness, because don't think that if there was a situation they was put in that they will not bear false witness against you. See, things go good and things go happy as long as you are feeding the goose the golden egg. Things go well. But as soon as a particular situation does not pan out or work the way that individual wants, then you become the next target. Simple as that. You become that next target. So you got to be aware of those who are around you that bear false witness for your safety and for others' safety. Don't put yourself in positions riding out when something could potentially turn around to haunt you. Don't do it. You just set yourself up and then wonder why your life is in that type of whirlwind. You saying, man, why am I in this type of whirlwind? Why is this happening to me? Why is this going on? Not realizing that you have now entered into a battle and surrounded yourself with people who are not even fit or ready to battle or don't want to battle. Choose your battles wisely. Make sure people that are around you, they're not around you bearing false witness. You know what I mean? They're only setting you up. Only setting you up to fail. My experiences in life and what I've experienced in the trials and tribulations I've came through, the ups and downs, the things that I ultimately had to face growing up as a young man, fighting battles, fighting in the streets. And this is something that, you know, when I talk about it, people look at me now and they say, well, man, I could have never guessed that that was your lifestyle. But it was. I mean, there's no other way to explain how I grew up. It was. You know, I mean, I don't brag about it, but sometimes that nature wants to come back. You know, sometimes I want to fight. So, I mean, come on. I'm a human being. But the God in me, 9 times out of 10 at this point, from being involved in church and my spiritual life being what it is and it's growing, and yeah, I now take a second guess. You know what I mean? But before, I was always amped up, ready to fight, ready to do something when it came down to it. But now I think twice, you know, don't mean I won't fight. It just means that I'm a little more wiser with what I do. You understand what I'm saying? Now, somebody come and slap me. That's crazy to think that another man would just let somebody else do something and they won't do it. Now, unless you just really that chump that somebody could just slap you upside your head and box you down or something, you just ain't gonna do nothing. Just let them slap you 100 times. I mean, that's crazy. Because anybody should be able to defend themselves. You should at least have the basic skills to defend yourself. But even if you don't, still do something. Look like you can do something. But all I'm gonna say for the night, people, watch the people that are around you that bear false witness. Just make sure that if you're going to be a part, support, look in, whatever you want to call it, with individuals, make sure that what they're saying is factual. Make sure what they're saying is 100% concreted, evident proof. That's how it goes in court. When you're in court, if you don't have that evidence, when you watch Judge Judy and them, if you don't come with evidence, they kick you back out. You lose the case. You wasn't prepared. Make sure you have 100% concreted evidence. Don't just come off the fly. Make sure you got evidence. Make sure it's something that's 100% factual. Because at the very time that you spew or say something that is damaging to somebody, that you told a lie and is damaging, that right there, you can't retract that. Try to clean it up, but unseen damage could be occurred. And that's a position you don't want to be in. Me, you, anybody else. Because then you're not dealing with the same principles as somebody on the natural. You're dealing with a whole different beast of a ball game. I appreciate all of those who support Ace Corner Talk. Appreciate you. Appreciate you supporting this channel. I really do. You know, things getting rough. People are merging from Florida, Texas. They're merging to the north. Things is getting really wild out here, man. It is. My wife sent me the thing earlier where the young lady was put in the freezer in a hotel and she died. Some young kids did it. Just look at the madness and the mindset of people out here. They're going crazy, it seems like. And what other way would you want to be? And what other way could you be? Could you be other than having a decent, moral, upstanding life, considering the circumstances about what is happening in this life? I put my money on Jesus. I put my money on God, and I believe that whatever I'm faced with, I'm going to be victorious because he said so. That's what that word of God says. I'm going to be victorious. I'm not going to sit here and not believe that if that's what the word says. So I'm victorious. I'm always going to win. I was guaranteed to win. I'm sorry. The fight, whether you want to say it's a fixed fight or not, I'm guaranteed to win. I am. I'm sorry. If the devil loses, that's not my fault. But he will lose because I'm guaranteed by the word of God, by the spoken living word from God, I'm going to win. The devil lost and will continue to lose. And if you are a believer, or if you have any substance in you that believes in God, know that you're going to win. No matter what lies come against you, no matter what speaks against you, because I've seen people not wake up out of their sleep. I've seen things happen that people just, wow, why did that happen? Or I'm telling you, these things happen to people when you come against things that God is working on and doing a work in. You better beware, man, and watch out because it's dangerous to do that. But all I say is this. My building is not complete yet. There's still more that need to be added on to this building. There's still more some construction that need to be done. I'm not perfect, but I'm striving for it. Believe that. And believe me, I stay true to who I am I stay true to a man of God. I stay true to as a husband. I stay true to as a father and as a friend. That's my way of living, way of thinking. I don't run off of those principles. I stay right there on those principles because I believe in that. And I won't take no less. People know me. You know my character. You know my build. You know who I am. You know my style. Most of y'all know. It's not hard. I'm a basic, simple dude. I'm basic and a simple guy. You know, basic and simple. My wife probably loves the fact that I'm a basic guy. Now, there's certain things that I like, you know, when I'm dealing with, you know, material things, but I don't let that overcome or overtake me. I just got good taste in certain things. But I'm a basic guy. I don't ask for a whole lot. But anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I want y'all to keep your heads up. I thank you for all of you guys that have been in the chat room. Peace, Miss Conceited Bristol. What's up, man? Peace. Got my Baltimore people in the house. Big ups, big ups, big ups, big ups. Baltimore in the house. Peace to Doug, John Doe. Peace to all of them. Thankful Sunday. All my families that came through. My wife, Queen C, love you. All everybody. Darkness Awakened, excuse me. Peace to all of y'all. Thank you for stopping by. I just wanted to share that with you tonight. Whatever you face with, whatever you're going through, it might get rough. You might have some experiences, but hold on to what you believe to be true. What's your testimony? Hold on to that. You know, don't let nobody take that from you. Hold on to that. It will get better. You know, it will get better. Things will turn around. And I'm a living testimony, and I got some testimonies coming up. You know, I had people try to debate whether I was in a motorcycle accident or not. I mean, you know, certain things you just can't pay attention to. Certain things you just gotta laugh at it. Some people just do ignorant things just to be ignorant. Take it for face value. People are going to be who they are. Look at the character. Look at how they have been their life. And that, I mean, they're just ignorant. No other way to say it. But God brought me through that major ordeal on top. I'm glad that I'm here to be here with my kids and be able to see my grandson, the whole nine. I'm just elated that God spared my life. Whether people believe this or believe that, I can care less. I'm just happy that I'm here to speak my own piece, be on my own channel, be with my wife and kids. I'm happy till the sun go down. I'm elated about it because I've seen people die from far less than what I've experienced. So it's evident that God wanted me around a little bit longer for whatever reason it is. But I hope that y'all encouraged today. I hope that whatever was said can enlighten you in some kind of way. I hope y'all, you know, continue to move forward with whatever aspiration and dreams you have. This is not a time to let go of it because you see the world in an uproar. Still believe in what you want to do. Still believe in how you can maneuver and be and making an impact in your own life and in your family's life. You know, continue to move forward. Not a time to stop. It's getting crazy out here, but does not mean you will not be seen through with what you feel in your heart you want to do. Got to do it for you, all right? Just believe that. So peace to everybody. What's up, Logic? Man, I know you was getting that sleep in, bro. So peace to you, man. I want to say peace to Flat Earth. You know, I still haven't had Flat Earth come to Ace's Corner Talk. We will do that to get them to explain what Flat Earth is. I want people to talk about it. So the people that might be on my channel might not be aware of what Flat Earth is. I'm not even 100% sure of the depthness of what Flat Earth is. I know the general purpose and theme of it, but there's probably some more things that I would need to know, you know? So hopefully one day I will have some Flat Earth representatives come and just give us and enlighten us with a few things. I'm an open-minded person. You know, I'm not closed-minded when it comes to different things I don't understand. I seek to get an understanding about it. I don't try to close my mind off to say this is what it is and there is no other way. If there is another way, then okay, we got to find it then. If there is another way to do something. But, you know, that's just what I believe, not being closed-minded, because God can use many different things to grab our attention and many different things that we can use to move our life forward. So why, if you're closed-minded, you close off opportunities. Always remember, closed-minded means closing the opportunities. Think about that, y'all. When y'all go to sleep, go to bed thinking about being closed-minded, closing off your opportunities. That's why I always keep an open mind, because I want to make sure that I keep an open mind to opportunities that may come. You feel me? So I tell y'all good night. Get you some rest. I haven't been on Ace Corner Talk in a while, but I had to come on here and just give y'all a little something of what I felt from the people that are subscribed to my channel. Peace and love. I might, me and Logic, we supposed to do something today. We're going to go in and just have a little fun. And I'll talk with y'all later. Aces in a whole. Peace to all of you guys. One love.